This is exclusive video of the moment the notorious drug lord known across the globe as El Chapo landed in New York on a Mexican government plane, the shock in his eyes, looking out the window as the top brass of federal law enforcement stood on the tarmac at Islip Airport. The extradition came as a surprise to New Yorkers, and even to the man responsible for getting him here. He didn't learn El Chapo was coming until earlier that day.
It was literally a last-minute conversation. Get ready, he's coming.
Ray Donovan has been the special agent in charge of the Drug Enforcement Administration's New York office since late last year. Before that, he headed up the DEA's Special Operations Division, which is tasked with capturing the most wanted drug fugitives. There was healthy skepticism that El Chapo would face justice, because the last time he was captured by the U.S. and Mexican law enforcement, this happened.
Wanted and on the run, authorities in Mexico are still on the hunt for a notorious drug lord who escaped from a maximum security prison near Mexico City.
El Chapo escaped from Mexico's most secure prison, through a tunnel that led to his cell.
We felt deflated, defeated. We weren't so defeated that we didn't think we can capture him again. We zeroed in on him, up in the mountains, outside of Casala, Mexico.
The headquarters of the Sinaloa cartel in the remote mountains of Mexico's notorious Golden Triangle. But they couldn't just go and grab him. They had to do extensive surveillance.
And now you know who the closest people are to Chapo, his inner circle. It becomes a little bit easier. Once you can sort of paint that picture and say, hey, this is his security people, this is the cooks, which in turn would lead to Chapo Guzman.
And that it did in 2016. He was extradited to the United States a year later, his case prosecuted in Brooklyn federal court, because he's allegedly responsible for 80% of New York's heroin and cocaine supply.
The biggest distribution point is New York City. Why? Because of the infrastructure. And so there's a lot of airports, ports, highways. It's very easy for Sinaloa cartel to bring their narcotics here and then disperse it all the way up to Maine, all the way down to West Virginia, Ohio, Baltimore.
The DEA says El Chapo is to blame for the explosion of the deadly synthetic drug fentanyl, responsible for nearly half of the city's overdose deaths last year.
They were the first to mix heroin and fentanyl together. So to capture him and to have a verdict such as this is really a success story, not only to law enforcement, but to all the victims of overdose deaths across the nation.
Donovan says El Chapo's conviction doesn't signal an end to the Sinaloa cartel. He says his family members have filled the void, and if they can bring El Chapo to justice, they'll be brought to justice as well. Outside federal court in downtown Brooklyn, Miles Miller, New York 1.